Landlords are scum, degenerates, preying on the weak. Some are even being labelled sleazy. But are landlords as bad, or are they villains? Let's find out. So I've been a landlord for nearly 9 years, and we are on one of my latest developments, which will turn this building into 4 apartments, meaning that I can house up to 8 people. So am I a bad landlord? Am I a good landlord? Well, I've always strived to keep my levels here. I want to provide exceptional homes. I want to provide exceptional accommodation. I try not to be the cheapest, and I definitely am not the most expensive. I try to go in the middle where it's affordable and I can still make money and people have a beautiful place like this to live. So we need to break down the pros and the cons of why landlords get a bad name, but also why landlords like me get the thumbs up. So some of the cons, some of the bad landlords, they're out there to make a quick buck. They don't really care what's going on with their properties, mold, damp, issues constantly with electrics, plumbing, not bothered. As long as they get the rent, they don't care. Now these landlords aren't all landlords. We do have them, but in the UK, we emphasize and we focus on the negative. We never really focus on the positive. So these landlords get all of the airtime, all of the social media videos, and all of the news is focused on the bad landlords. And again, we get them. We know they are there. But if we focused on the good landlords and started showing the things that people like me do, then we wouldn't get as much press, would we? Because we have standards. I mean, this building you're standing in right now is a 10 out of 10 level renovation. Every single thing that you can think of has been thought of. We have every possible amenity that you could need in here. Now, this is not a high-end project. This is not an area that can demand top rent. But the people who move into these properties still deserve to have a lovely place to live, and that's what we provide. So we need to turn the negatives into positives. Did you know that 4.5 million private homes are rented by private landlords a year? Fact. So when you look at that, 4.5 million homes, that's a huge percentage when the population is what it is in the UK. Without landlords, that would put so much pressure on local housing authorities. It could actually be catastrophic. So before you start bad-mouthing landlords, think about what we bring to the table. Another reason why landlords are needed is because not everybody is in the position to be able to afford their own property. Some people don't have funds. Some people don't want to buy a property. Some people travel for work and need to move around and stay in certain locations for 6 months. And also when we have foreign doctors, foreign solicitors, foreign people coming into the country who are not here for long term, who are here for like 1 year, 2 year or 3 years, potentially changing people's lives, saving people's lives, adding value, they need rentals. So again, landlords are needed, rentals are needed, but you need the good people. Another thing as well, I understand that people struggle sometimes. And when we put the rent up, people start getting really angry when it goes up by £50, £70 or £100. But what you've got to take into account, or what you've got to take into account, is interest rates. When we are taking out a new product because our term is finished, our interest payments go up. That's what happens, especially in the market today. So rent has to go up in accordance with the new interest payments. Now, so many people are like, that's not fair on the tenants. You've got to remember, this is a business. Landlords get into this to make money. Now, like I said, hopefully not everybody is trying to squeeze as much out as possible, and fairness is how you survive long term. But some landlords are not the same. Some landlords will put the rent up by £200, £250, and not giving the person who lives in the property a chance to work up extra money. They just hit them with something. I don't agree with that. But I do agree with the fact that if the interest rates go up and we have to pay more money, then the rent has to go up as well, so it still works for both ways. Another thing as well that doesn't get touched upon is when the tenants decide not to pay the rent. If a tenant decides not to pay rent, Well, we can't just tell the mortgage company that we're not paying the mortgage, because it affects our credit reports, it affects our future borrowing and lending, it affects our relationship with the lenders. So there's always a knock-on effect, and it has to work both ways. So that is my honest take on landlords. I'm a landlord. I don't deserve to get a bad rep, but hey ho, it goes with the territory. Now, the only way that this can be resolved, if people don't want landlords, is that the government need to take action. They need to build 300,000 new properties a year just to keep up with demand. So you look at what that would do to the economy, what it would do to the budget. Imagine having to do that. So the government needs to work with landlords to get problems fixed, to make sure everyone is being treated fairly. Not only the tenants, but also the landlords, because there's two sides to every story. It's one of those that sometimes I think, is it worth being a landlord or is it not worth being a landlord? Only time will tell.